Hi, welcome to another edition of Brooklyn Park Now. We're at Crestview Elementary, where we're joined by the Brooklyn Park Fire Department. Mark is here to talk about what are you doing here?
We are at Crestview Elementary doing Fire Prevention Week. We go around to the 18 different schools in Brooklyn Park and we teach little boys and girls fire prevention. A little over 10,000 kids in our school this year.
So I noticed as you were going through the program, some of the kids, they knew the answers because you've been here before, you've had them year after year, and you're trying to get that awareness.
We do. We try to teach each grade level something different, and as they get older, they learn new things, but they remember from the prior years.
Everybody say it if you know it. We got some good listeners from last year. You guys were really good. We stop, drop, and roll. Everybody say it together. Stop, drop, and roll. So she stops right where she is. She drops to the ground, drop to the ground. Really drop, but okay. And then lay down.
Yep, lay down, you gotta roll.
Now you got this fire on you, you gotta get it out.
Roll.
Come this
Other way, other way.
Two times this way.
Go.
Okay, she thinks it's out, so one more time. Perfect, all right, let's all give her a round.
Is there anything different as far as messages? I mean, the kindergartners versus second or third graders, I mean, what's the message?
We have a different message for every level. We teach at grade appropriate level. And little kids we teach stop, drop, and roll. The older kids we teach what is a fire made of. And the different sciences in that make it so the kids learn year after year.
Yep.
She said heat. Fuel, oxygen, and heat. Now we got heat is hot, oxygen is the air, fuel is what's on fire. So now when I got a fire, Sam, give me a fire, and I'm spraying at the fire, what am I taking away? The heat. I'm taking away heat. Wet stuff, red stuff. The cold water on the heat, no more heat. That's why most of the time you spray water on a fire. You take away the heat. In a grease fire, oh no, my pan is on fire, it's full of oil. I better smother it. I'm gonna come up to the side, because if I come like this, I'm gonna burn my arm. I'm gonna come up to the side. I'm gonna put the cover on, shut the heat off. What did I take away by putting the cover on? Oxygen. Perfect. Now this is a sad story, but it's true, and I told you guys I'm not talking down to you, because you guys aren't kindergartners. You guys are 4th and 5th. Out in California, bad fires. They burnt homes right down to the ground. You know why the homes aren't burning no more? Because there ain't no more fuel there. The home is burnt right to the ground. If you don't have anything to burn, you don't have a fire. So this is the chemistry behind fire.
And so you tell them, when in doubt, dial 911, right?
When in doubt, dial 911, and when not to dial 911.
Yeah, that's the next
City of Brooklyn Park, we have a lot of issues with people dialing 911 when it's not an emergency.
Let's talk about some emergencies. If your mom tells you to dial 911 and she's having chest pain or heart hurts, is that an emergency? Yeah, that is an emergency. How about if you're out in the playground and you trip and fall and you skin your knee? Is that an emergency? No, that is not an emergency. That's something that the school nurse can take care of, or your teachers can help you put a Band-Aid on. How about if you're at home and you have a cold? Do you call 911 because you have a cold? No, runny nose, something like that. No, that's not an emergency. But what happens if you're out on the playground and someone cuts their arm and it won't stop bleeding? That's an emergency, yeah. Yeah, that can be dangerous. So make sure that you know the difference between an emergency and not an emergency. And then if an adult tells you to call 911, you can call it then. Feel free, use a phone, call 911. Now, what do you say when you call 911? There's a few things that you need to know. First, tell them what's going on. So let's say your friend had cut their arm, okay? You say, my friend cut his arm. Now you're at your house. Does everyone in here know their address? Yeah, some of you know.
Homework assignment, everybody learn your address. You have to learn it.
Yep, so that's what you do. You go home and you learn your address. You say your name, you say what's going on. So let's say I'm calling 911 and I go, 911, my name is Sam. My friend cut his arm. I'm at 8584 Stratford Lane in Brooklyn Park. So now they know where to go, what the problem is, and who to send. So So if you know those things, then you're able to call 911. When we don't call 911 is if there's not an emergency.
So how long has this program been in works?
We started we're in our third year of doing fire prevention in our city. We have Blaze, who is in mascot for our city. He's a 7-foot animated creature that goes around. The kids remember him, and when
Yes.
they remember him, they remember the fire prevention safety
It does get a
message.
big surprise going on. I noticed
Yes,
the kids
sir.
just rough. Probably they're antsy to get up and do something, and here's something, and a little music to go along with it.
We want them to remember, so we introduce music, we introduce Blaze, and then we introduce good props. Good props are important.
Have you run into any kids when you've done calls where they know you, they've had a class or anything?
Well, it's funny you say that, because now it's hard to go on a call without being known.
Okay.
Every time we go to a call and there's a kid there, they always, hey, there's firefighter Mark, there's firefighter Ryan. They remember us from the school, and they remember the safety message we wanted to deliver.
Yeah, I think the thing I remembered is examples about how people want to be a firefighter when they're really young. Is that kind of a message? Hopefully you entice some of these kids to say, hey, I want to be a firefighter, because usually it starts young. It's not something you decide
Not
later.
to date myself, but when I was doing fire prevention, 3 little boys and girls in the first row are actually firefighters now.
Okay.
So that message does go
So you are
forward.
dating yourself. So you're 22 then.
22, there
Yes.
you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Great, thanks Mayor, it's a pleasure.
Message. It's knowing 2 ways out of every room you're in. So let's start with something, okay? Which door did you guys all come in? Right there, right? Okay. Now it's important to know 2 ways out. Because what if a fire starts right there or right behind that door? Then we need to know how to get out of the room, right? We're not going to be able to go into the fire. So what's another way that we could get out of the room? All right, good. And there's one more that I see. Does anyone else see it? Look behind you. Yeah, so there's actually 3 ways. Well, no, we all have doors that we walk in and out of for the bedroom. But maybe you're on the 2nd floor, or maybe you only have 1 door going in and out of your room. Well, that's when you're able to use a window. Now, if you're on the 2nd floor, don't jump out the window if there's a fire. But what you can do is know that that is a way out for when the firefighters come. So if your room's on fire and you cannot get out the door, what you do is you go over to the window, you make sure that your door's closed first, you get low and you stay low, and you go over to the window and you open it up and you say, help, help, firefighter Mark, firefighter Sam, I need help. And if you wave something that we can see too, like a white shirt or a white towel, then we'll be able to find you quickly and we'll come up and get you. But that's how that's a way out. So do you see that? There's 2 ways out of your room. The door and the window. How many of you like using a campfire? Especially this, when you came to school today, wasn't it kind of cold and kind of wet, kind of gross? These are the best days to be around a campfire. Well, let's say this is in your backyard. We don't want to be playing football or basketball or throwing a baseball around it, because what can happen is you cannot be aware that this is here and that it's on fire. And then you can go and hurt yourself. So one time last year, a boy was playing football in his backyard. He dropped back and his friend went deep. He said, keep going, keep going, keep going. And he didn't know what bonfire was. He was looking back for the football and he tripped in the fire. Look what happened to his leg. Ouch. Do you think that hurt? Yeah. We're trusting you guys. Now we can't come into every home and make sure that everything is safe for a fire. But we had a fire last year that was started by a candle, and it looked just like this. It was sitting on the counter, and they had the candle lit. Now when the cat walked by, what do you think happened to the candle? Yeah, its tail hit it, knocked it over right onto the drapes that are hanging from the windows. Started the drapes on fire. Before they knew it, the whole house was on fire. So if you see this type of candle sitting over here, that's a problem. It needs to be in something like this. Now if it tips over, nothing can happen. It can't go anywhere. All it does is it goes up and it kind of melts the wax, but it doesn't do anything. In fact, this would put it out if it tipped over like that. As well, they sell stuff like this at stores now. Have you guys seen these? They smell really nice. My wife always goes and smells them, and she has to smell every single one.
Smell like wax?
Pretty much. But what happens is when this tips over, let's say the cat comes by and tips this over, the flame has nowhere to go. In fact, this actually puts it out. Or If it's, you start to notice, okay, I want to put out this candle instead of having to blow it out where it might blow somewhere, all you have to do is cover it and the fire's out. So if you see this kind of stuff around your house and you say, hey, I learned today, that's not safe. You can tell your parents that. Say, hey, that's not safe. That could start a fire. Say, hey, Mom, they sell these at the stores. Why don't you
These
get
are
those?
real safe.
Or
So I want to thank Crestview Elementary, the Book Park Fire Department for hosting us today. It's been a great show, lots of things to see, and little kids learning about fire prevention and how to react to fires. So until next month, we'll see you.
how many times have we
Fireplace.